we've offered you the next best thing. It is Kenny Kott's Around the Rink. As we get started, let's learn together. Let's be entertained together. Mr. Kenneth Kott, music, please.
Oh
my
right.
God. I'm Ron Barr from EA Sports.
I love it.
All right.
First and foremost, if you pay attention to one singular man this year, it's Connor Bedard. Scored his first goal last night. It sucks that he's in Chicago. Feels kind of rigged that he's in Chicago, but if you pay attention to one man on this planet for hockey purposes, do it for Connor Bedard, 98 Chicago Blacks.
Wait a minute. He's in Chicago. Revson's in Chicago. Diminutive duo.
That's already short, right?
Yes, he is not the largest man.
David,
on the ice.
Bedard is tiny.
I was about to say, not great in stature.
But if he can score, 40, 50 goals, it doesn't matter how tall the kid is.
He looks like Theo Fleury with better teeth.
I mean, a lot of people have better teeth.
Fair.
Theo Fleury.
Fair.
So in my mind, Boston.
High level
we got
production.
effects? All right.
Dude, the hockey budget is low.
I mean, they're not great, but they are effects. I'd rather have effects than no effects.
Better than my original prop bet casino.
Rico's. You didn't even have a Rico's prop bet casino, did you?
No, Roberto
Gambling.
just hit a button and it's like, black guy in numbers.
Gambling. Go.
So let's talk about the Boston Bruins, guys. I have them as my most likely to fall off team. They lost Patrice Bergeron, David Krejci, Tyler Bertuzzi, a handful of other key pieces for them. The captain in hockey, the most important guy in that locker room. And losing Bergeron, he's your heart and soul of that team. They're going to fall off. I don't know by how much. They probably still make the playoffs. I'm not saying they won't do that. But that makes an Atlantic team very gettable in this impossible division that we play.
Well, the other thing, Kenny, it just feels like their run is endless.
Yeah.
They've been so good seemingly for so long. It would make sense if all of a sudden they take a solid 10 to 12 point step backward. Yeah. Well, hell, more than that after last year's historical campaign.
Well, that's what we said last year was, they lost some pieces. They're going to fall off. Best season in NHL history.
I know.
What are we doing here?
I don't know. I'm tired of them.
Yeah, unless they go pick up somebody at the trade deadline. I agree with you, Kenny. They take a step back, but it's still good enough for Boston.
And that takes us to the lower half of the Atlantic. We keep hearing how stacked.
Wow. All right.
We hear how stacked the top is, but with teams like Boston and maybe even a team like Tampa losing Vasilevsky, falling off, it sets up for somebody to fill the void. Look for an Ottawa. Look for a Buffalo.
Pick
for
one.
a Red Wing.
Pick one.
Red Wings.
Okay.
That's who fills the void. That's who at least sneaks in. Ottawa also has a shot, too. I mean, they've been playoff bound for the last couple of years, if you ask me, but they haven't been there yet. Next thing. Not Red Wings related, but next thing. Will the Toronto Maple Leafs finally win a second-round playoff series?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
They won one game in the second round last year. Big step up from winning the first round.
So can they get to 2 games? It's so sad because I just wanted them to win just because I felt bad for them because I don't know what the problem is. But.
It's like if you took the Lions and made them moderately more successful because they always lose in the first round. They can't get out of their own way. First round, they just get bounced. Last year was the first time since I think 2002.
I just always wonder, Maple Leafs fan, you can't get out of the second round and then you look and see Vegas and wow, you won the cup. Wow. Okay. And you've had a team for all of 5 minutes. Yeah. Life's not right.
Well, excellent. Let's talk about the reigning champs, the Vegas Golden Knights. They might have the best chance to make it back to the final.
Again?
With the exception of 2 or 3 dudes. They're icing pretty much the exact same team they put out there. Same core, same skill players. All of it's basically exactly the same. So what result should we expect? Pretty much exactly the same result.
Let me ask you a question. How I know the rules were catered to making them competitive from the start with the expansion draft and how McPhee handled it with teams selling good players. But Kenny, how have they continued the success? What's the secret to this?
They've been shipping guys out left and right before this past offseason. They don't care. There's no loyalty with them. They'll just bounce you if they don't like you, no matter what. It's a very hard life if you're a player because you don't know if you're staying or going.
That makes sense. They're not really invested in anybody.
Yeah, no, they're not. There's
Vegas
no
is a
identity.
transient town, so yeah.
It's the opposite of that Detroit loyalty that you see with all these nonsense players like Brandon Inge sticking around for too long. It's not even close to that.
Or anyone the last 5 years of Ken Holland.
That's
Thank
true.
you.
That's
Yes.
absolutely the Franz Nielsen. You got to keep him. Let's. I did not know he had that. That's fantastic. And speaking of, let's talk about Mike Babcock. He had an interesting offseason.
Indeed.
He got hired by the Columbus Blue Jackets, proceeded then to insult the captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets by saying, hey, give me your phone. I want to scroll through your pictures in front of the entire team. Because that's normally how you would treat the captain of your organization. And then was shortly after that fired. So that grand opening, grand closing for Mike Babcock.
I like how Babcock supposedly turned a new leaf. Cutscene. Same D-bag.
Yeah. How does this guy keep getting jobs? What's the other sports equivalent for a guy who just shouldn't have a job but keeps getting jobs somehow?
Any
Lane
NBA
Kiffin.
coach.
I was about to say Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, falling upwards in life. Yeah.
I'll end things here on teams.
What was that?
I can't handle these effects, man.
Another.
To end things, I'm going to do Eastern Conference. Go ahead. And Western Conference. Teams that you should be paying attention to. Playoff contenders. Legit teams. Out in the West, outside of Vegas, the Oilers, obviously, with McJesus, always a threat. Colorado always in there. And sleeper, Seattle Kraken. They had themselves a nice year last year. They could do it again.
Where are the Islanders?
On to the Eastern Conference. Carolina, obviously, well-coached, hard-nosed team.
They're like watching paint dry.
Very, very boring. And then the opposite, young squad in New Jersey. More enticing sleeper would be the Rangers. They consistently feel like they're laying in the weeds.
Once again, I don't hear the word Islanders.
And you won't hear the word Islanders. And lastly, the Detroit Red Wings will make the playoffs this year. That is your Hockey Blitz.